Alright, so once again, hello everybody guys, and welcome back to our Microsoft Excel Complete Introduction course. So congratulations, until now you have completed a big part of the course. In today's class, we are going to talk a lot more about pivot tables, what are pivot tables, how this works, and we'll do absolutely everything that we have to do for you guys to understand what's a pivot table. So at first it sounds a bit intimidating and complicated, but honestly pivot tables are, well, very simple to understand. What are they used for? Um, mm, Pivot tables, their main utility is really to help you analyze a database. For example, you have a database of something, and the main utility of those pivot tables will really to help you out analyzing a database, what's in the database, and really help you presenting everything. Let's say with a graph or just with a tab that will give you a better understanding of your, let's say, not the situation, but really of your database. So for the purpose of this course, we are going to create a database once again. The type of database, it's gonna be a car dealership. So how we are going to create it, very simple. We are going to write down the brand of the car, then the color, the mileage, the cost of the car, and finally the price that we sell the car for. So we will have five different things. We will create five different car brands. So let's say we will have we'll have brand 1 to brand 5. And for the colors, we will have red, blue, yellow, green, and let's say black. So right now, very simple, what we are going to do is simply, so right here, as I said, from brand 1 to brand 5. So what we are going to do is really take all those colors and all those brands and put them randomly until we reach the number, until we reach around 30 cars. So this will be a good, a good thing. So let's start. Once again, it doesn't have to be exactly 20 or 25, but if it's around, let's say, if it's between 25 and 50, that can be good because we really want to do an analysis. For the mileage, so we're gonna write down a random function. So same thing. It's gonna be between 20,000 and 100,000. So once again, we'll drag it down here. For the cost of the car, once again, it's gonna be between 2,000 and 3,000. It's for the purpose of the exercise. Usually the prices will be a bit more, but for the purpose of this exercise, well, we're gonna write down from 2,000 to 3,000. And for the sold price, well, it's gonna be between 3,000 and 4,000 because yeah, we have to survive in this world. So same thing, and between, write down 3,000 and 4,000. We can also add another tab that is gonna be profit. It's very simple. You simply click on the price cell, and it's gonna be the price minus the cost. So here we go. We have, let's say, 5 tabs with the profit. All right. So from this point, we have our database. We have 5 brands, 5 colors, millage, cost, price, and profit. And all this is a bit, well, we have data. It looks complicated at first when we see it. But from this point, we will have to, well, we will try to analyze this data the best way we can. So how do we analyze this data? As I said, with the pivot tables, it's really the best way for you guys to analyze data. So what you will do, you will select all this right here, and you will go on insert. It's gonna be on pivot. So here, pivot chart. Click on pivot chart and pivot table. So you wanna, let's start by pivot tables. We're gonna talk about pivot charts a bit later. So we'll start with pivot tables. So the pivot tables will look something like this. So the way it works, let me show you an example and you will understand. For example, we select brand. So the brands will be in the rows. From this point, we can also add the colors. For example, I have for each brand what colors I have. Then let's say I want to add the price. So let's say I'll put the price in columns. So here it doesn't really make sense. But if I put colors in and right there, so as I can see, it makes a bit more sense. So for brand 1, I have black cars, and the sum of prices will be $6,300, which makes a bit more sense. So as you can see, we can see approximately what will be the sum. Well, what will be, for example, the sum of the prices. So I have brand 1, black cars. I can see the sum of my prices. Same thing for blue cars. Same thing for let's say red cars. If I want to calculate, for example, my profit, I can do the exact same thing. I can put it right here. So as you can see, guys, well, I have what's my profit for example, for black cars. So if I sell all my black cars, well, my profit will be this price. Well, for brand 1, for brand 2, it will be something else. Once again, you can really play with this around. So really, depending of what is your data and what exactly you are looking for, you can create your pivot table. So let's try some other things just for fun. So if also sometimes we'll create the pivot tables that will not make sense. For example, if I put price right here, well, once again, it doesn't make any sense. I can't find nothing here because it doesn't make any sense. But here, for example, well, if I put brands right there, well, what I see is with the colors, for example, black cars. When I sell for brand 1, well, I sell, let's say, for example, black cars for brand 1. My total profit, if I sell all the cars, will be this. So it's the exact same thing as we saw at first. Right now, from this right here, we can analyze it in a more advanced way. It's gonna be with the charts. So how do we add the charts to our pivot tables? So very simple. It's the exact same thing. We can add, it's gonna be there. So insert. Instead of selecting pivot tables, well, there is also another way. There is another way. It's gonna be recommended pivot tables. So here they will suggest you pivot tables that you can have. So with your, for example, if you select pivot tables right now that you know how they work, Excel can also suggest you some pivot tables. So for example, right here you have sum of profit by brand. So the thing that we find out a bit earlier. So as you can see for brand 1, well, the sum of profit will be this. Sum of profit by color, for example. There also, once again, there are pivot tables that doesn't make sense. For example, sum of millage. We don't really care about the millage for our database. For example, for the profit, it can be really important. So right now, let's talk about the charts. So you know that you can, right now, you know for your analysis that you can use pivot tables. If you want something that Excel suggested you, you can just use recommended pivot tables. And if you want to present it the right way, well, you simply click on pivot charts. We're gonna do both, so pivot charts and pivot tables. So Excel will generate us a pivot chart and a pivot table. So let's say we do the exact same thing as we did. So we select our brands and the profit. So as we can see here, so for the row, for example, brand one, we have a profit if we sell all the cars of $9,000. If we want to calculate also the cost, well, we see right here that the sum of the cost is way higher. Well, it's not higher. Sum of the cost for the price. All right, let's go. So right here we can see that the price of the cars is way lower than the sum of the cost. For brand 1, same thing for brand 2, same thing for brand 3, same thing for brand 4 and brand 5, which makes sense. And right now if we have our profit, well, it's the lowest because usually the profit will be the price minus the cost. So this makes sense. So right here we'll see our price is always higher than our cost. So once again, it's a way of analyzing it, and as we can see, really makes sense. What else we can do? You can also add, for example, colors right here. So as we can see, for example, for black cars, it can become really like advanced the way we analyze it. For example, if we make a bigger graph. So let's say, for example, for black cars of brand 1. So right here we have our first brand. So the black cars of brand 1. We have the cost of the black cars here. We have the price that we sell all the black cars here. And we have our profit. And that's just for the black cars of brand 1. So as you can see, it can become really specific. We have our table right here. We have our chart right here. So for example, if I have a car dealership and I want to do this, well, I will understand, for example, that if I sell my cars at this price, this will be, for example, my profit. This will be how much I sold the cars. And we can even refresh all our data. So as you can see, since our data is all random, well, you can see that it works. So the price will always be higher than the cost, and we can see what will be our profit. The profit will always be the difference between the price and the cost of our product. So as you can see, guys, it's really an analyzing tool that can be really interesting, and it can work well. It can, right here we did an example with a car dealership. We can do the same thing, for example, if we want to analyze stocks. Instead of, let's say, using cars, well, we can analyze stocks. For example, I have 100 stocks that I bought at this price and 100 stocks that I bought at another price. And we can analyze what's the profit, what the profit we made, what profit, how much we lost, or any of those kind of stuff. You can use pivot tables for a business purpose. For example, it could be for a car dealership. It could be, for example, if you just own a store. If you own a store, well, you can use pivot tables. And for example, to calculate what clothes are selling the best, what's your profit for each brand that you sell. It can really work for any type of things that you want to use. It could be in real life. Well, it could be for school. It can be for a business. It could be for any type of purpose. But yeah, so right now you see how it works. So let's summarize everything. So first thing you will need, it's a database. Right here we have just a small database, and you saw how we analyze it. So when you have your database, from there you simply select your database. At this point, it depends if you just want a pivot table that you create, or you want a pivot table that Excel is giving you. Right here you have all Excel, all the things that Excel can give you. For example, you can even have the average of profits for each brand that you sell, for each car. For example, for black cars that you sell, well, the average profit will be this. So you can really do specific things with all this, which is really interesting, as you can see also there. So at this point you choose if you just need the table or you need the pivot table and the pivot chart. So let's say you select pivot tables and pivot chart, you will receive something like this, and at this point you simply create your pivot table. So you choose how you want to create it, what exactly you want to add in it. For example, you want to add up millage. We doesn't really have to use it, but once again, you can add it if you want. You can modify a lot of things. You can calculate, for example, you can get, for example, you have some prices that you don't want to calculate. Well, you can put them out. It will be better for brands. For example, you don't want to use brand 5, you can just put it out, and brand 5 will disappear. You will have only brand 1, 2, 3, and 4. Same thing here. So you really can control it as you want. So that's really an amazing thing for Excel and well, for everything in general. So that's it for this course, guys. Until now, you should know how work pivot tables, and how to add pivot charts to your pivot tables. As you can see, it's really not complicated, but once again, it's really a question of practice. So create your own database. Well, you can use a database that we just created, and you can play with it. The best way for you guys to really learn how it works is really to play with it, to practice it the max as you can. And the more you practice it, the more you will see that it's really, really easy, and something that is really basic. If you have any questions or whatever about pivot tables, don't hesitate to write me directly. I am available and I answer pretty much quickly to all questions. Besides of that, that's it for this course, guys, and see you in our next class, where we are going to start our first class project.